We've been going over a healing series, and a definition I like for healing is replacing a level of consciousness with a higher level of consciousness. So as we begin to look at these stories, we can see how Jesus is working with the people on many, many levels. But what he was seeking to do was to lift the level of consciousness of man on planet Earth. So this story is the healing fount. Maybe you've heard it before. We've shared it before. But this is right at the beginning of his second year. So he's walked for a year, got back from his travels. He walked for a year. Now this begins the second year, and he always starts the first year as the big Passover feast. So he goes into Jerusalem. And it starts out where they go into Jerusalem, and they were meditating. And when they go in, they enter the city through the sheep gate. And the sheep gate is like a lot of the cities are walled, and then they have a little gate that maybe about this tall, arched over with thing. And this is where the sheep enter in, the sheep gate. And we've seen it, we've traveled a lot in the world, and we've seen those and realized, oh, there's a sheep gate. But what in a lot of his stories are the analogy of that sheep gate, or to begin to bow down, to humble yourself when you enter. So there's a lot of parables in the Bible about people being asked to bow down, and if they can, great. If they can't, okay. So he's entering in the city very humbly with his people, and he doesn't go in with the banners blaring. He goes in very humbly, and when he enters in, there's a healing fountain at Bethsaida, and the people go there because once a year, like the angel's supposed to quicken the water, and whoever gets in the water gets this healing energy, and they're healed. And so there's a throng of people, standing and sitting around just waiting, okay? And so Jesus sees this one man sitting there, and he asks him, would you be healed? And the guy says, yeah, I want to be healed, but I'm lame, I can't walk. When the water's quickened by Spirit, everybody runs ahead of me and gets in, and I can't get my healing. So right off the bat, we could look at this man's level of consciousness, and it's kind of a victim consciousness, isn't it? He's kind of being a victim, and he is kind of not hopeful. Never going to make it. He was 38 years old, so he's probably been coming there a lot of years. So Jesus starts talking to him, and he says, the fount of health is in your soul. And there's a healing fountain story earlier in chapter 41, and when he's in Persepolis, and that's what he said, these waters are waters that fail, because the water isn't what heals you. The water isn't what heals you. So he says the tomb of health is in your soul. The reason for your condition or your health is in your soul. And the door is locked tight because of karma and judgment. So we hold our own judgment within us, and we create with karma. It's all within us. And that's what we have to heal. That's what we have to wash away. And then the key is faith. The key is faith. So if we connect with God, that will allow us to access that divine love so that we can begin to see what we need to look at and begin to forgive it. Mainly forgive ourselves. Forgive ourselves. So we open up the door to karma and judgment, so then we can create something different. Create something different. And so the guy's listening to him, and he says, I want to know the key. I want to be able to do that. And Jesus says, do you believe what I told you? And then the guy says, I believe. And then Jesus says, according to your faith, it'll be made so. Pick up your bed and walk. The guy stands up and walks away. Doesn't even get in the pond. By your faith, belief. We've talked about belief And we can have a belief in anything, but then that faith is living. It's doing the walk, doing the work we have to do. He stood up. He believed enough to stand up, you know. And so the story goes on. Jesus goes into the temple with the disciples to continue his teaching and things like that. And he sees the man that he healed earlier. And so he comes up to him, he says, you know, like, you've changed your life. When you go back into your old way, sin no more. Don't go back into your old consciousness, your pattern that created your condition or your illness or whatever it is. And so he said, I want you to, or we're all to recognize this level of consciousness that we've just moved into. Because a lot of people, when they have a shift in consciousness or something, or some experience, you know, and then they get back into life, and pretty soon the energy and the vibration of the past and the old suddenly comes in, and they forget. They forget the transformation that happened and occurred. So to remember that, it's very powerful. Recognize this new level of consciousness. This is a new study, but it's kind of new in our little epoch of time. It's called epigenetics. And it's really neat because in epigenetics, it's a study of the genes within our body. And forever, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, in the study, this is physics, the study of epigenetics is that only 5% of our cells, our genes, 5% of our genes are fixed. 95% can be changed. See, this is a new world, a brave new world. We just got to be brave enough to pick up our bed and walk and to take the steps that we're becoming aware of. See, this is science, this is medicine. 95% are mutable. They can be changed. And so in that study, it's so like if you want to do something, because each cell has consciousness, so when you tell your body you're going to do something, do it. And if you do it for a week or so, pretty soon the genes within your body begin to shift to support that new choice you've made, that new level of consciousness you've made. But if you say you're going to do it and a couple days later you forget, you're almost making that neural pathway a little bit deeper to support that old pattern. Like, Jesus is so great, you know. He's expressing this to all these people. This is what we have to do. And like, go and sin no more. Don't go back thinking or acting the way you used to act. Hey, you know, your genes are listening to you. And you can recreate. You can create a new condition and everything. And I think it's really neat, and that's shifting level of consciousness. Shifting the level of consciousness. You know, so like, how many of us are waiting at our healing pool? As anybody says, a couple people, there's a few here. I'm one of them. I'm still waiting. Because we all have something. We all have something. We got a little crinkle. We got a wrinkle. We've got a past pattern or memory that still has a hold on us, that limits our ability to express, to give freely, to receive freely even. So epigenetics begin to change. So we're sitting there and we are experiencing some condition or distress or some illness or something, and you know, are we feeling sad and hopeless? Some people feel victim. Do you see? Sad, hopeless, a victim to circumstance. When a new level of consciousness, there's no victims in the universe. Too often we get locked in our past consciousness, our past experiences. Don't let the past define you. Allow it to refine you. If we can learn from our past, don't run from it, don't hide it, don't push it down. Look at it. Look at it with eyes of spirit. Say, connect with God. Now we're going to open up the door and look at the karma and guilt that we've created for ourselves. Look at it with the eyes of God. Allow that divine love to move into your vision, into you. to allow yourself to be transformed in God's love. And then forgive is to let go. Let it go. And it begins with us. It's a powerful, powerful way of transformation. We all sit at that healing pool, locked in past consciousness. When I was doing this popped into my head. Some of you might know this. Sitting at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. You see? Do you think we traveled all this far to sit at the dock of a bay, to watch the tide roll away? The tide of life? We came here. We are the tide of life. We are the tide of life. We are life. Just watch it away. Wasting this time. Prisoners to the past. Prisoners to the past. Missing the tide of life. Asleep in life. I don't know if we traveled this far to fall back asleep. This is what it says in here. There is no deeper sleep than ignorance and unbelief. There's no deeper sleep than ignorance and unbelief. How long are we going to ignore the fact that we are spirit, that we are spiritual beings, that we are the sons and daughters of God? You know, we can keep ignoring it and let the past lock us down and look at the past and let that define who we are right now. And unbelief. You know what? If we don't believe something, we won't even give it a try. Does anybody ever experience that? Yeah. I don't believe it. It's not going to work. I'm not even going to try it. Ignorance, ignoring the truth of our being, ignoring the promises. See? The promise of Jesus, ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will be opened. All these good things that are applicable in our daily living. Not one time, daily. Daily, daily, daily. That's the gift of life. To be aware and awake daily in our life. Ignorance and unbelief. So how do we heal? You know, to begin to if we're becoming aware that we are spiritual beings, we're in the Aquarian age now, spiritual enlightenment, and the world's shifting, and we're all shifting in consciousness. So to begin to live in that awareness. Live in that spiritual awareness. Choose a love-based philosophy or foundation instead of the old fear-based foundation and philosophy. This is what's available to us. When we live a spiritually love-based awareness level, we're at home with God. We're at home with God. And and if we're at home with God, we're always loved. We're always loved. And see, it's all ourself, not loving ourselves enough, not loving ourselves enough to be open to the love of God. We live in a loving, supportive universe, and all we have to do is open up our eyes, and we can see it. It's a beautiful place, a love-based life. And you know, when we live a love-based life, that can be a radical behavior change. Because the world's changing, perhaps not as fast as we'd like it to change, but we got divine order going on. But sometimes we are challenged to live a love-based life, personally, collectively. And look at our world situation to stay in a love base is challenging sometimes. But to never forget who we are, to never forget who everyone else is, and honor that. To move from a fear-based consciousness to a love-based awareness. See, awareness, being aware of all the love in the world, all the love that surrounds us. When we begin to open up our spiritual eyes, we begin to become aware of the bigger picture going on. There's a bigger picture going on than little old Patrick. But sometimes our ego, I am important, stumbles us, trips us up. You see? So begin to look for the bigger picture. And once we begin to look at the bigger picture, we'll be given glimpses of the divine plan in our life, the divine plan of life, evolution in consciousness. And now what we can do is we can ask, what's mine to do? What is mine to do? What is mine to do? We have the guidance from within. What's mine to do? And when we get the guidance, love yourself enough to follow it. To love ourselves enough to follow the guidance we get. Because who are we getting the guidance from when we go within? Spirit. To begin to believe who we are, to begin to live who we are, allows us to transcend and ascend into a higher level of consciousness. Because everything's consciousness. God flows through the living, and it's the Father within who speaks the words, who doeth the works. And as we walk in this consciousness, it's our choice. Seek harmony. Seek harmony. Choose people, places, things, experiences that support harmony, not only in our world, but in the world. And I know everyone has to have their own experience. But each experience is contributing to the whole, and we are one. We are one. And when we play in duality, we're playing in duality right now. We're moving into oneness. We're trying to understand oneness. The only way we can understand it is to try our best to become in oneness with life, with God, with one another. That's the faith. That's the living faith, the walk that we're taking to heal, to lift from a level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. So seek harmony. Ask to see harmony. Then live harmony to the best of your ability. Yesterday afternoon, we were sitting out there in this butterfly with some broken wings, and it was beautiful. It was like a morning glory. And they're supposed to be that big, and it was this big, little wings. And it came and landed on Charmaine's daughter for an hour or so, and then she brought it down, put it on me. Oh, it's so cool. It was beautiful. And then I gave it to Kelly next to me, and she, oh, it's cool. And then her daughters came up. Oh, they're like 15 or something. And they took it. They wanted to take it and heal it, work with it. And, you know, and Kelly goes, yeah, these kids, they make me bury everything that's in the roach or something dies in my grass. We got to go bury it. And then they were telling me, I said, they're on it. It was cute. They're good souls. You just, looking at it like that. And so they took it. And then later in the day, they were sitting up in the crystal garden. I talked with them. And the one girl said, yeah, we took it and we put it over there on a plant and it's going to be okay. It was really neat. But they're living their level of consciousness. And there's some levels of consciousness that would have took that and went like that. Do you see? We know this. And so we celebrate those times, the celebration of the human spirit. Because we make a choice to be who we came to be. So, and then as we seek harmony, ask to see it, and then to our best of our ability to live in harmony with all of life. All of life. Not just our human people. It's one. It's oneness. The universe is oneness. There's no two. There's one. So to begin to, it's a stretch, but if we don't take that step, if we don't stretch, we're never going to get there. So it's like life is a blessing, opportunity to stretch. And then once we begin to get this greater understanding and seeing maybe the divine order and the harmony that's going on, it becomes easier for us to say, thy will be done. Because our default is my will be done. But once we've opened up our eyes and our heart and expanded our consciousness to the bigger picture, to the divine plan that's going on, that's when we want to say, thy will be done. We want to say, thy will be done, because I don't know. I know nada. Thy will be done. You've revealed very powerful, good stuff so far, Father. Thy will be done. Guide me where I need to take my next step. Surrender, surrender, surrender. This is what we teach in our classes too. When my will and God's will are one, we'll have heaven on earth. When my will and God's will are one, we'll experience heaven on earth. You see? There are people experiencing heaven on earth now. And there are people experiencing less than heaven on earth now. And it's just consciousness. So we're the chooser. So we can take certain steps to free ourselves from imprisonment to the past and a lower level of consciousness, a lower identity. We've allowed that past experiences to define who we are. It's not who we are. We're spirit. Those were experiences that we had to really reveal to us that we're spirit. And sometimes we get lost in them, and sometimes we rise above them. It's all good. But when we recognize that's what it is, it's not who we are. It's a lesson. Allow that lesson to refine us. Not going to do that again. Has anybody ever said that? No, I'm not doing that. I'm done with that. So it's kind of refined us. We've made it maybe a higher choice. Okay? So when my will and God's will are one, we can experience heaven on earth. And then the sixth one, God and man are one. God and man are one. That's the foundation that Jesus was trying to reveal to mankind. Like last time I shared with you, Jesus was a reminder and a revealer. Came to remind us who we were, and then his life revealed how spirit could be manifest through the physical body on planet Earth. You see? And as we begin to understand that's who we are, that's who we are. Make that our foundation. I am spirit. I am spirit. What would that look like? Now we go within. Go within. To that higher level of consciousness, the light I am, that love I am. And follow that guidance. That's your perfect guidance. These steps, this path leads to Son of God energy. And Son of God energy lifts us above race consciousness energy. It lifts us up beyond that loop into a higher level of consciousness. To be in the world but not of the world. To begin to live the truth I am. To recognize the truth in each soul we see. We're all different, but we're all one. It's a beautiful paradox to begin to ask to understand that. How can I understand that? So, the time is now to be what we came to be. See? There's no time like the present. Let's go within. So as you close your eyes, I want you to just breathe. And once again, ask that God's love fill you. Ask to feel God's love. And with each breath, just be aware of your heart center once again. Feel your center of love and light getting stronger and more radiant. And just be aware of your heart center. The center of love, the center of light I am, is it? And just see it as it gets big and bright and radiant. It's just pulsing the love of God. And now just breathe and surrender and just be aware that this love and light begins to flood through your whole body. And just feel that gentle transformation in light and in love. From the top of your head to the bottoms of your feet, to your fingertips. See your body filled with light. Divine light. Feel your body filled with love. divine love. Seeing your unique light, feeling your unique love from your heart. Speak these words. Wake up, cells. Wake up to the light consciousness. Wake up to the Christ consciousness. Wake up to the consciousness of wholeness, completeness, and perfection. So just breathe and allow this charged energy to flow through your body, quickening the cells, the atoms, the particles of your being now. To remembering, I am light. I am love. And just breathe and feel that gentle transformation. And now if there's any particular physical issue in your body that you want to just focus this God's love and light on, just direct it now to that part of your body or body consciousness. And speak those words. Wake up, cells, atoms, particles. Wake up to the light consciousness, the Christ consciousness, the consciousness of wholeness, completeness, and perfection. And just see that area begin to become ablaze in that radiant light. Transformed in light, transformed in love. So just breathe and feel your energy now. Feel your body. Feel the subtle shift that has just occurred. Accept this transformation in light and love. To know it is the way. So just breathe and feel. And just gently open your eyes. Healing. Replacing a level of consciousness with a higher level of consciousness. Replacing our human consciousness with a divine consciousness. Allowing and asking for a transformation in love, a transformation in light. Ask and you shall receive. And they all said, Yea, God.